All right. You guys all hear me? Hello, my little munchkins. How did you guys do today? Hard day for me. Tough. All right. Let me go over a few things. Let me go over a few things. Okay. So today we're gonna go over support and resistance. Um, how many of you don't know how to make support and resistance levels? How many of you don't know how to make levels? Because I can tell you this. To me, I think levels are one of the most crucial things for my trading that is very detrimental. Um, I'm very I'm very anal with it because sometimes I'll get my levels wrong and then just tell me, okay, let's say your levels, okay, let's give me a stock. Give me a big name. Okay, let's do Tesla. Let's say you have your levels set on Tesla, but let's say your levels, let's say let's say you have a support level and then the stock breaks down your support level and you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to take profit on my next level. Let's say you're $10 off on that next level. What do you think can happen? I don't have anything up yet. Or let's say you're $5 off of your next level. Like let's say your level for entry is 800 and your profit target is 780. When in reality, the next support isn't 780, let's say it's 786. So you're $6 off. So as soon as it hit that 786, you're like, because you don't have a level written down right there, right? So you're like, it's gonna keep going down. I have my levels at 780. And then you get hit with a fat reversal, right? You get hit with so much buying pressure that you're like, what the hell? So that's why I'm anal about my levels, and that's why I'm pretty good at it because I continuously to I'm sorry, I continue to try to get better at it because it's that I'm telling you, there's been times where I'm like $4 or $5 off, and then you know I end up not getting what I want out of the trade because I had it wrong, and then I go back and then I'm like, oh wow, I should have made it right here. So I think that levels are really key because once you have that once you have your levels down and you have your strategy down, multiple strategies, then you're good. All that's left is being able to control your emotions, like we always say. um Here we have spy chart on spy. What I'm going to show you is how to make your support and resistance levels, but first you want to start off on the weekly. So this is the weekly time frame that we have here. If you're using Thinkorswim, if you're not using TradingView, go down here and then just click on this price level right here. It says price level. It's a dollar sign with the underline under it. And you just click anywhere in the chart and it'll make a straight line. But for those of you that are trying it right now, brand new, and you've never done this before, it won't give you a whole straight line going across, and it won't give you this number. So you want to just double click it. You edit the property, and then where it says left extension, you want to turn it on. Where it says right extension, you want to turn it on. Or you want to, where it says show name, do not show. You can show it if you want. But where it says show price, you put on the right. Then on the bottom, you can use this. You can use a different style. How many of you like the dotted lines how many of you prefer the dotted lines over the solid lines? I like the dotted lines better because it lets me see more, because the straight line will just straight cut through the whole candle. Also, what you can do, okay? Can you guys see the properties thing on my screen? No. So when you do edit properties, you can do this. So this, what you can do is you can write, this is going to be the what? What level did I just make? All-time highs, right? So I can write all-time highs on the right side next to the number. How many of you think this can help you? Now I'm going to show you how this can help you, okay? On the bottom, we have what? All-time lows. And in the middle, we have the midpoint of SPY. Now, for the midpoint of SPY, so if you look at it like this, so this is how I look at things. So let's say I have, I have my all-time highs and then my lows. Damn, that's a really straight line that I'm drawing. And then you have the price action going down in the middle. No, I don't use RSI. Now, depending on the stock that you're looking at, right? I always have some sort of midpoint. So here's the thing with the midpoints. So when I'm talking about midpoint, so you're going to take the middle between the two lines that are at the top and on that are at the bottom, right? So this is the midpoint. Now, around the midpoints, there is what I like to call, starts with the Z. Anyone know? And you can apply this to any, and I use this for like whatever, any time frames, but in general, when I look at a chart like this, there's always going to be a midpoint, like one right here and then one right here. I just like it just to have it there, right? This is going to be the zone of the chart. So if by any chance the stock you're looking at is towards the midpoint, right? Those are going to be the names that I want to look for to do what? Not necessarily to swing. No, I mean, not necessarily to bounce or go up, but to swing. Okay? To swing, to recover, to swing. Because at the end of the day, if you're looking at the overall perspective of the stock market, the stock always goes up or down, up, right? So when I'm taking trades, when I'm looking at names, when I look at names that haven't gone up as much as everything else, right? I can find good names just by, just by spotting out the midpoint of the chart. Like if a stock is currently right here, and then you see, and then let's say this is Apple, right? This is Apple. Oh, people in the waiting room. God, dude, I started 10 minutes late and people still come 20 minutes late. Apple, and then let's say you have a chart on Amazon right here. Let's say Amazon's doing this. let's say Amazon's at all-time highs or almost at all-time highs, whatever, right? And then you have Apple that's currently right over here. Is Apple a good swing to take? Yes. So that's how you want to differentiate between stocks and which one to swing. Okay. I like to look for stocks that are far enough from their resistance and are close enough to their midpoint to get a bounce. So on SPY, on SPY itself, I'd say the midpoint's about here. Okay. Now, on the weekly, I just want to make this clear. When I'm making support and when I'm making resistance levels, you have candles, right? But first of all, before I even get into that, let me go over candlesticks with you. So we have a green candle. And let's say you're looking at, give me a time frame. Give me any time frame. Okay, 15 minutes. This is a 15-minute candle that happened on a 15-minute time frame. Now, this is one single candle, right? Where do we open? Where did this candle open? Did we open up top or did we open on the bottom? So this is where we open, right? So let's say, the price was at $2 here and then this is $3. So in 15 minutes, we made a $1 move. So we opened here and we closed here, right? Now, if you break this down to a 5-minute chart, to a 5-minute candlesticks, how many, essentially, if you're looking at 5-minute candlesticks, how many 5-minute candles would it take for it to get to this point? 3, right? Now, for you to get a green candle like this, a full green candle, on the 5-minute time frame, it has to look like this. Essentially, right? Does that make sense? Now, what if you break this down to a 1-minute candlestick, to 1-minute candles? You're gonna get price action, but it won't be 15 straight candles, would it? Right? The candle will form a solid green as long as it doesn't fall below what? As long as we don't fall below the open, the candle will form a solid green on a 15-minute. Now, why am I telling you this? Because time frames do matter, right? The time frame that you're looking at, right, can affect you. Because let's say you're focusing on a 1-minute candlestick, you're focusing on 1-minute candlestick patterns, or just the 1-minute candlesticks itself, right? Let me make 15 of these. But just by looking at 1-minute candles and not focusing on like the bigger picture, how can you fuck up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to show you a perfect example today. I'm going to come out this class today like, what the fuck? You are right. Now, this is where it's like you have to be able to analyze different time frames, right? On the 15 minutes, what do you have? Just a solid fucking green candle, right? On the 5 minutes, you have a 3-bar play. On the 1 minute, though, what do you have? No, I know it's 15 candles, but essentially you have a what? You have a range, right? You have a range. You have a range right here. Obviously, it's going to break out more, right? Now, how do you determine which time frames to look at? Okay. Now, if you're already looking, okay, let's say we're looking at Tesla. So let's say this is 800. And then in 15 minutes, this candle closed at 830 or 840. Let's say 840. On average, how much do you think Tesla moves a day? If you don't know, don't answer. If you have an idea, tell me. I want to say about 20 to 35, $35, whatever. Right. So if you had missed this move, right? Because some people are like, oh man, we have a big fat green dildo on Tesla. So what am I gonna do? I'm looking at this on the 15 minutes. There's a fat green dildo. Let me buy in. Not knowing it had just moved $40, right? Not knowing that on the 5-minute time frame, we just moved $40. Not knowing that on the 1-minute time frame, we just moved the whole breakout. And they're trying to buy right fucking here. Okay? They're trying to buy right fucking here. Now, when you're looking at bigger time frames like this, the reason I'm saying bigger is because we're day trading, right? We're day trading. If we're swinging, we'll be looking at dailies, weeklies, whatever. But 15-minute, 30-minute, hourly, 4 hours are all big time frames to me. Now, at what point what kind of candlesticks should I look for when I'm trying to make a trade, when I'm trying to make a day trade? What kind of candlesticks should I look for, right? I shouldn't try, damn, why is there so many people in the waiting room? Jeez. I shouldn't try to trade a stock after it's already made this kind of move, right? Now, what I'm going to show you is what kind of candlesticks you kind of want to look out for before you enter a trade, especially if you're going to look at the higher time frame and move down. Now, I'm going to ask you guys this: when you're looking at time frames, should you look at higher time frames and move down, or lower time frames and move up? You should look at higher time frames and then move down. So let's say you have this, right? I'm going to show you guys now. Let me just divide this. Okay. Right now, you're going to have the 4-hour time frame. So now you have this. Let's say you have this. No, let me do this. Just pretend this is a red candle, okay? Going down. Then now you have the green candle like this. Okay, this is a 4-hour candlestick. Now we're only going to focus on this candlestick right over here. This is a hammer. When I break it down to hourlies, how many candles do I make? 4, right? First, we have what? We have the open. Then we have something like this. Then we have something like this. Then we have something like this. Now this is going to be the hourly. Is that still a good enough trade for you? Is that, I mean, I'm sorry, is that a good enough trade for you to take? Yes or no? Now, here's the thing, okay? That was a trick question because you're gonna take the trade within these four candles. You guys understand? Just like how if you were here, you're gonna, you should have taken the trade here. You're gonna take the trade within these candles, but I'm gonna show you the candlesticks that form within these candles so that you know what to take. Does that make sense? Okay. What do we get? What do you guys want? The 30? You guys want the 30 minutes? Or just move on to the 15? Okay. 15 minutes, right? How many candlesticks is that? 16. 16 times 15. So how many 15 minutes are in an hour? 4 times 4. Oh, 16. Okay, so we're gonna have 16 candles right now. My bad. They're fine. Do some of you do some of you understand where I'm getting at here? Good. So this is just the 15 minutes, okay? Just wait till I get to 5 minutes. I want you guys to be patient. I know I suck at this drawing shit, but hey, it's a V for Valentine. So this is the 15 minutes. Now, before I move on to the 5 minutes, I'm not gonna do the 1 minute because I'm gonna have to do fucking Jesus. How many is that? Nah, hell no, I'm not doing the 1 minute. It's too many. But you'll get the point once I get to 5. Now, from this 4 hours, so this candlestick alone, right, gave you this on the 15 minutes. Now, were there opportunities here that you could have taken just based off the 15 minutes? On the 1 hour, no, not necessarily, because it's just like, fuck, no. But on the 15 minutes, yes. Okay. You have a bottom right there, right? You have a V, you have a V formation right there. You can almost make a W there. You have bull flags and bear flags. All right, bear flag, bull flag, right? You have when you get a bottom here, and then so here's the thing. One thing that you guys probably forgot is there is a what going down. It's also head and shoulders. There's also a trend line going down like this, and you could have entered right over here. And you could have made your last bear flag rejection your first what? Profit target, because that's where it usually will end up dipping before re-entering, of course, right? Now, let's go to the, do you figure out that's the bottom based on the trend line breakout? Someone answer that question. Yes or no? Do we figure out that that's the bottom based on the trend line breakout? Yes. How many candles am I making on the 15-minute again? On the 5 minutes? I'm just gonna try to make as many as I can, but if I'm not right, sorry. On the 5 minutes, it's 80. Oh, it's 15. It's 15 per fucking this, huh? Yeah, no, I'm good. But I'll show you guys, what it'll look like. Can you guys tell me how accurate this shit is? How many of you guys have been looking at charts for a while now? So it looks something like this. Okay. Like you're not gonna get perfect candles. You'll never get perfect candles because some candles are meant to do what to people? Yes. Some candles are meant to just take people out. Something like that. Right? Now, on the 15-minute time frame, you had two candlestick patterns. But how about on the 5-minute time frames? Right? You got pennants, you got bull flags, right? You got pennants, you got bull flags, you have range breakouts. And then at this bottom, you probably get a hammer if it's green. And then for this one, you'll make the straight line and you won't enter. You're not going to enter this until it breaks that support line. and then you make that trend line that we made earlier going down like this, and it'll be perfect like that. Does that make sense? Thank you. Thank you. I know this is a work of art. I should make this shit an NFT. 1 Ethereum. You guys buy? Stop lying. You wouldn't buy this for 1 Ethereum. Look, right? So this is how we get this. So you have this. So this this little freaking candle on the 4 hours, right? This little candle on the 4 hours, on the 5 minutes, had all this action going on. Okay, just to show you. So keep in mind that, you know, whatever time frame you're looking at, right, you got to be mindful of where, you know, like for example, we're right here, right? Now we're right here. So you got to be careful what candle you're trying to trade, what the candle was before that. The reason why we were trying to, for example, going back to the whiteboard, right? Going back to the whiteboard, the reason why we were able to trade this price action, right? This price action on the 5 minutes, we could have traded, but the reason why we traded this day, right, was because it already had a down move prior, right? How do we know if we're not, for example, just by looking at candlesticks, how do I know I'm not going to get into a choppy day, right? How do I know I'm not getting into a choppy day? Let's say we still have 4 hour, let's say these are 4 hour candles that are doing this. And then it's doing this right here. Then it's going like this. And then let's say we open up, right? Let's say the market opens up right over here. Okay. Versus something like this, like this, like this, like this. And then we open up here. Does that make sense? Yes or no? This is going to be more of a choppy day than this, because we've already had a down move. Remember, this is the 4 hour chart. We've already had a down move, and now we're looking for the reversal. And where do levels come in? Here. That's where I was trying to get at. Where do your levels come in? Why is having correct support and correct resistance levels so important? Right? Because let's say, right? Let's say you're trying to, let's say you're looking at this day, you're like, what should I do today? And let's say you had your support level all the way over here. What is your initial thought going to be? We're going to keep going down. But let's say you were wrong on that level and say the level of support was actually right over here. So when I came in today, right, and we're talking about, you know, if I had Tesla and I was $10 too short on my level, this can be detrimental, because in this case, what happened to me? I'm not going to have conviction on my entry, right? I'm not going to take that trade because I'm already assuming this is going to keep going down, right? And I missed the entry, right? And then by the time, you hear me? By the time the stock goes over here and it breaks that trend line, Shit, why did I just make a U-turn? By the time it breaks that trend line, I'm trying to get over here. And I enter the trade right here. What happens? I get caught in the dip that it makes. Because remember, this is a 4-hour time frame, right? This is a 4-hour time frame, but if we look at the daily time frame, it's a whole different candle. Does that make sense to you guys? So that's why, in my opinion, having correct levels is key. Now, going back to here, yeah, my all-time high is here. And now, when I make my levels, keep in mind, I have to go back again. When I'm making my levels, if I'm looking at a 4-hour chart, I want at least 2 touches like this, and I make a line across. If I'm looking at a 4-hour, I want at least 2 or 3. Okay. Let's say you're looking at daily candles. Let's say you're looking at weekly candlesticks. Let's say this is a weekly candlestick. Let's say these are all weeklies. Wicks and bodies. If you have a wick, right? If you have a wick and your next one is a body, it's the same shit. As long as you have it on a wick already. So like this, let's say this is a weekly, right? I'm gonna have a level right over here. I'm gonna have a level going across here. I'm gonna have a level over here. I'm gonna have a level over here. I'm gonna have a level over here. Why am I bypassing the 2 to 3 touch rule on the weekly? Because if you're looking at a weekly candle, right? If you're looking at a weekly candle, if you break this down to daily candles, right? You had 7 whole ass days. This is what it looked like. I mean, sorry, 5. Said 7. You guys get what I mean, though. Because on the daily, right? You already have you already have your support resistances on the daily as well. Like that. This candle alone, this is just this candle made this kind of pattern. Just imagine what it made on a 15-minute. Make sense? So weekly, I can get away with 1. And then everything else below, I need at least 2. And then if I get back down to the hourly, I'm going to need 4, 3 or 4, right? 15 minutes, at least 4, 15 to 4, I mean, 3 to 4. On the 5 minutes, 5 minutes, you want to be like 5 minutes. I only make levels on the 5 minutes if I'm going to day trade it that same day. And I'm looking at live price action. Make sense? On the 5 minutes, what am I making support and resistance lines on? Either live price actions or the past 2 days. At least 3 or 4. But how do you read price action? Guys, what the fuck did I just do? I'm sorry, but that kind of pissed me off. All the candles I just fucking made. It's all good. But that was, you know, that's just supply and demand. So right now I'm just making. So look, these are my, like, you don't have, and here's where it gets tricky. You don't have to make a line on every single candle that you see, right? Because there are so many, right? You on the, you know, on the rule where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna focus on one candle, one, like no touches, just one candle. Apply that only to swing highs and swing lows. You guys know what I mean by that? If you get a price action, right? If you get price action that looks like this, within a weekly chart, right? Within a weekly chart, you're gonna get candles like this, right? You're gonna get it's gonna look like that, it's gonna look like that, look like that. Whatever, right? I want to focus on these when it comes to just, you know, for my weeklies. Like if I just want to make one single line on a candle, right? I'll focus on these ones right here. Instead of trying to get, you know, literally every single fucking candle, which is retarded. Don't do that. You can if you want to, but don't do it. But you get what I mean? And I'm going to show you on another name. SPY is just an uptrend name. But moving on to the daily. Just like this. On the daily, how many touches did I say? Do you focus on the support or do you focus on the resistance? Guys, do I focus on the support or do I focus on the resistance? Both, right? Both. There's no reason why I should favor one over the other. Supply and demand. The stock market just doesn't just move on supply itself. It doesn't move just on demand itself. It moves on both supply and demand, right? For every buyer, there has to be a what? For every seller, there has to be a buyer. Why should I focus on just the buyers? How am I going to know when to sell if I don't look at where people usually sell? And then I won't have profits to make because I'm going to hold it forever. You know what I mean? Yes, the lines are the same. Support becomes resistance. And where here's what I'll show you where support becomes. So what is this area right here? What is this called? A resistance, right? Now, that same area over here is now what? And over here is now what? And then over here, it's now what? Back to a resistance. Yeah, it looked like a lot on the weekly. Let's say you can't read the chart, but if you move on to the daily, it's like it looks clear. And then you move on to the 5 minutes, you don't have too much. Like you need more than this, by the way. So on the daily, I'll see if there's anything I missed. How do you get those circle shadows? You go down here and look at the circle where it says oval. You can color code this. if you like. I'll make it like a little fruity. Some of you guys are pretty fruity. You gotta save it as default though, because if you don't save it as default, you're gonna have to keep changing the color every single time you make a line. All right, move to the 4 hours. I want at least how many touches on the 4 hours? Again, I want to change my color. Now, if I move to the 5 minutes, now I have my levels. Okay. Now, for example, let's say, let's say I have this, let's say this breaks the purple line. Okay. The purple line is my what? The purple line is my entry. Where's my first target for my day trade? 443, right? Now, at what point do you think we might see a resistance at? 444, because it's a daily level, right? It's a daily level. Now, what you can also do is go onto the daily and look at specific areas on the chart. Let's say you get right here. Look at this area here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. What happened in this area? Support, right? So on this yellow line, I can edit the property, change the name, right? I can put huge daily support / buying zone. My name is too long. So just put huge daily support. Now, if I go to the 5 minutes, it should have said on the thing. Hold on. Oh, there you go. If I look on the left here, I wrote it down. Huge daily support. Right? Huge daily support. So now I know. This is just to help you. Like, if you guys want to be really organized with this shit, you can do it this way. Now, look at SPY. This is the 5 minutes on SPY. What do I have here that I can draw? That I just did earlier when we were looking, when I was making all those little fucking candlesticks. I can draw a trend line going down like so. Okay. Now, what if I move this to the 15 minutes? It'll look like that. What if I move it to the hourly? It'll look like that. What if I move it to the 4 hours? It'll look like that. What if I move it to the daily? It'll look like that. Right? What am I waiting for here on spot? For it to break out. Now, in order for this to break out, at what point of this chart do I want to enter the trade, guys? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw something that I did earlier and I showed you guys. So you have so at what point do I want to enter this chart? Do I want to enter this trade? I mean, I'm going to want to enter this trade somewhere around here. Why do I want to enter this trade somewhere around here? Because this is when we're above its last, right there, previous high of the trend line. Does that make sense? Let me make this a little clearer to you. Visual fucking confirmation, guys. You're gonna get multiple highs on a trend line. Multiple highs meaning the rejections, right? You want to buy above the past rejection and use the next one as your profit target. Now, is this a profit target for a day trade necessarily? No, right? You can put swing profit target. This is my swing profit target, right? But I'm only going to enter this trade where? I'm only going to enter this trade once we're above 441.09 or for 441.10. Any questions? Good question. Where would my stop loss be? Right? Where would my stop loss be? Your stop loss can't be, right? Because if this is the trend, your stop loss cannot be like, it can't be if it goes back into the trend. Because, you know, like, what the fuck is the point of the stop loss if your stop loss is below, you know, if it goes back in this trend? Because that means you'd have freaking, you know, you'd be at zero by then, right? You'd be at zero. You'd be at zero by then. Now, someone take a guess where my stop loss would be. My stop loss would be below my entry slightly. Now, you don't need to draw this, guys, but what did I mention in the beginning? When we had two lines, what do you look for in the middle? You look for the midpoint of the next two lines. So my stop loss would be the midpoint of there's two lines, right? These two lines right here, right? Like somewhere around there. That's going to be my stop loss, right? Now what you can do is, you can put stop loss for the swing. Write it down on the right so you know. That's your stop loss for the swing. Why, again, why is this my stop loss? Because if we're looking at this midpoint, right? Now, when you're looking at the midpoint, I mean, I'm sorry, no, not the midpoint. When you're looking at this swing high or this trend line rejection, does this trend line rejection only affect this portion of the chart? Meaning, does it only affect this portion right here? No, right? It also affects everything that is from left to right. Okay. It mainly affects everything from left to right. Okay. Because if you pay attention, okay, if you pay attention, at what level during this price action that you see here did we get a big dump? We got a big dump right below 440. So around 439.87, 439.90. We got a big dump. This is why having a nice stop loss is key, right? You guys understand why the midpoint is a good level for profit target? Because if I move, okay, here's the thing. What if I take it off the midpoint? Oh my gosh. How does it do that? What if I take it off the midpoint, right? And I move it slightly down a bit to here, to where it's not the midpoint. What can happen here if I have my stop loss right over here? I might get caught in a flush where I won't be able to do what? Where I won't be able to exit, right? If you look at the 5 minutes right here, where is it? If you look at the 5 minutes, if I make it right here on my stop loss right here, I'm gonna get caught in this flush. Does that make sense? What did I have it on? No, before that, 30 minutes. Right there. Get me? So I move it to the midpoint right over here because it's perfect. Now, essentially, if this is my entry right here, right? If my entry is 441 and I'm swinging and my profit target is all the way up here, this becomes my what? I'm gonna make it red. This becomes my risk. And this becomes my reward. Now, is this a good risk to reward? Right? So this is why I get pissed off when I'm taking a swing and people are like, dude, the swing is down. Well, we took a good ass risk to reward in the first place. Right? Because essentially you're risking one to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. You're risking one to make 6.5. Right? Here's the thing. Let's say you put in $5,000 on this trade, right? That 5,000 won't be depleted unless we go down to about here, right? Considering we won't, that 5,000 we put in we won't lose all that until we get down to about here. Okay. but we're not risking. We're not trying to risk the whole 5,000. Okay, we're not trying to risk the whole 5,000. Although yes, anything can happen on a swing, but if you're looking at risk to reward, that's how you have to look at it. Because if this stop loss is a 20, if it's a 20% stop loss, this tight end right here, that means out of the $5,000 that you just put in, you're only risking how much? You're risking 1,000 to potentially make what? 8,000, 7,000. Does that make sense? And you can apply this to any time frame that you want to apply this to. You can do that. You can do this on a 5 minutes. You can do this on a 10 minute. You can do this on a 15 minute. You can do this on an hourly. But what is the most important part of this that you need to remember? No, it's the levels that you put in. Only enter if it breaks above your levels. Only enter at specific areas. Respect your levels and only enter at specific areas. Sorry, I missed something. Guys, how is 448 my profit target? Because if you're looking at the trend line rejections, right, you have 3 different rejections here, right? You have 3 different rejections. It's the next high that it made. And then, right, if we break above here, do we want to immediately enter the trade to go up to this next one? No. Right, you wait for a little consolidation till the next day, and then you re-enter again till we get up here. Unless you like bag holding a trade until it goes right. Some people do that shit. Any questions? Did I make this support and resistance lesson simple for you guys? I think that's the most simplest I made it. I think that's the best one I've done. But any questions? Do I do levels under 4 hours or not? Okay. Oh, why was your SL at the red line again? And not 439 and not 439.29. Okay. Now, why is my stop loss not 439.29? Because in this specific, and here's the thing, guys, just because I'm using this example on this specific chart right here, does that mean I'm going to use this specific example on the next fucking stock that I see? No, right? It just so happened that when we were over here today, we got a big ass flush below 440. Right? Below 440. Yeah, I can make, guys, I can make my, obviously I can make my stop loss here. I can make my stop loss here. Is this still a risk or reward here? Is it still a decent risk or reward? Just answer the question. Yes, right? You're still making 1 to make 2, like I guess. But what is the number one key for traders? You want to always limit your downside risk, right? Because a lot of people always try to look at how much money they make, but they fail to see how much money they can potentially lose off the trade. You get me? We're all always fucking looking at, oh, fuck, dude, this can go $30, $40. But you fail to understand and see, okay, well, how low can you potentially go if it doesn't go your way? How much room do you have for error? Right? Where is the floor? The floor is right here. That's a big ass fucking room for error. Now, if the floor was like over here ish, right? If these candles didn't go down here, if these candles respected this support line, then yeah, it would be like, it would be a better, okay, yeah, I can probably let my stop loss lower a little bit. But here, I want to limit my downside risk. So I'm going to use this, and that's my reward. Any questions on support resistance? Yes, please. Do you mind telling us the amount of touches per time frame? Okay. On the daily, on the weekly, I don't mind just having one, but I'm only going to have one at what areas of the chart? On the swing highs and the swing lows, that's where I'll have one single touch, a line going across the whole chart. Because if I try to make one line for every single candlestick there, it's going to be way too fucking much. Right? I might as well be a scalper at that point, right? Now on the daily, I want two. On the 4 hours, I want three. Okay. Can we do another fresh chart from this chart from the start? All right. You guys are babies. I'm not gonna go as slow as I did, because that'll take another fucking hour. Now keep up. Okay, guys. Guys, you want me to rep it out? You guys need to rep it out yourself. You get what I mean? Trial and error. That's key. It's like, you guys see someone do a backflip. How many times do you want someone to do a backflip until you get it down? You get me? If you guys see someone do a backflip, it's like, you see it 10 times and maybe you'll try it and you won't even get it the first 10 times. Y2624. Right over here. Y2624. Right here. Y2624, because you had that. Make sense? Let me delete this. Okay, that's weekly. Daily. Is this what you do every day on the stocks you look at? Guys, do you guys think I do this every day? Once I'm done with Amazon, do I need to make Amazon charts ever again? No, I already have my level set. What happens in the past will usually happen in the future, right? Once I have my levels, I'm good. I only do this to show you guys. I mean, it gives me practice, I guess. Might have missed something. No, yeah, if you do this enough times, you'll be fine. You can still see the chart. You know what I'm saying? Can you share your TOS setup with us? Guys, what is my TOS setup currently right now on this chart? Nothing. This is like the default. I think the colors just make it look fancy. To make your chart look better because of the lines, for example, use ovals to give it more life. Does that make sense? How it gives me more life? How now I know like certain areas. Okay. You see these ovals right here, right? Now, where we are on Amazon, are we at a buying area? So like I said, see, Lobo, you guys don't get it. Okay. Let me do it like this. These ovals, if I make a rectangle going across like that, do these ovals fall in the same rectangle? They do, right? So I ask again, where we are right now, are we at the same area as these ovals? Yes. Okay. Now, Amazon is hard to read because it just had some shitty price action. But there is this trend line going down, going this way, that it literally can't seem to just come up off. And you have this, if you look at this on a weekly, you have this major rejection right over here. Does that make sense? So this line right here, I'm gonna make it darker. This trend line you have to watch out for because it acts this trend line acts as a major resistance on Amazon. It can't seem to go up. And Amazon doesn't have a good enough catalyst for it to bring it up back up over 3,300. But we are bullish right now until the next leg. Where is the next leg on Amazon? Just like how earlier we were looking at that trend line and we were looking at the next swing high. Where's the next swing high on Amazon? We don't have a trend line like SPY earlier to go based off of. But what can we use? We can use this right over here. So the top of this right here. So right now we're at 3111. I mean 3103-ish right here. So our next, our next target is gonna be 3190. That's where the next, that's where the next leg is. Now do you guys understand why every single chart is different when it comes to, your next target? You guys see how crowded this looks on the 4 hours even, or even on the daily? But if you if you go on the 5 minutes, you see all that space that you have? All that space that you have. Right? You can use these two lines right here. What are they? What are we currently in? Obviously, you can't see it on a 5 minute, but you're in a bull flag. Right there, bull flag channel, same thing. We're leaning towards bull flag more because of this big pump. You can adjust on smaller time frames if you want to, but essentially right now, right, where we are, let me make it again on the daily. And if you look at this on the 15 minutes, right, that's going to be my target area. And where would I enter to buy these calls? Where would I enter to buy these calls? After 31.31. Now, one more thing I want to show you is you have this bull flag, right? Now, if I make a midpoint going down the middle, like so, like right there. If that's my midpoint, and I look at this on a smaller time frame, right? Anything above that midpoint. So the thing is, where the midpoint is so close to to our entry that once we break above this midpoint, right, I feel like we're good to go to the upside. Does that make sense? My stop area, essentially, my stop loss is going to be below the midpoint, because anything below the midpoint, I'm going to expect it to go back down the range, right? Because if you have a midpoint, then you have a standard deviation from the midpoint to the top of the channel and to the bottom of the channel. And usually what happens is prices go to the downside and then go back up to the upside, and it'll always revert back to the mean. It already reverted back to the mean here, and now it's trying to go back up. And then you also want to focus on the candlesticks that we're showing, right? At the end of the day today, we showed an indecision candlestick right here. So we can either go both ways tomorrow. We can go both ways. But if we're looking to be bullish, we want to buy above 31.31. If we want to go bearish, we can go buy below here. You can even buy below here too at this rejection. Like you can get a candlestick, that looks like this. You can trade a candlestick that looks like this. Yeah, I was just trying to make an inverted hammer. Do you ever find it hard to trade with this many lines? I mean, guys, do I really have a lot of lines on the 5-minute level, on the 5-minute chart? No, I don't have a fucking lot of lines on here. Yeah, on a bigger time frame, if you want to look at it that way, I do. But here's the thing. Here's what I can also do. Here's what I can also do. What area is Amazon having action on? If I can make two areas, you have one right here and you have one right here, right? Now, what I can just do is just do this. I can just do that. Same shit. But on the daily, do I have a lot of lines? No. But why did I go and bother to make all of these lines on top? So that I don't have to fucking do it anymore in the future. If the price goes up here, I don't have to bother making these lines anymore. Sometimes I haven't touched my lines in like a year. How do you know where to draw the solid gray lines going at an angle? Okay. If you want to make a great line like that, that's going to be your perfect one right there, because you want to get as many touches on that line as possible. One right. So you see that? You want to make as many lines as many touches as possible. Don't care about this right here. Yeah, that's out of the line, but as long as you get as many lines as you can, right, on these ones, you're good. That's the overall trend line. Why is that good? Because look at what happened. We broke out and we still fell back in. Does that make sense? Also, we fell back in because we failed to go above here. We still had that rejection coming in from here, happening here. All right, guys. Tomorrow we go over, and tomorrow's me and Brett together. But I hope you guys learned a lot today. Can you guys all write in the Telegram how today's class went, please? Like, what did you guys learn today is what I'm saying. Put that in the Telegram so I know. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your night.